TurboTax. Finally, we get to see the defending national champion, the South Carolina Gamecocks, who are a #1 seed for the 5th tournament in a row. They open up play on their home floor against the 16 seed Tennessee Tech. We've already seen the 8-9 battle in this portion of the bracket, Indiana and Utah, and the Hoosiers shot 70% in the second half to propel them to the second round. It's their 10th straight 20-win season. Their name has advanced in our bracket. We've got one more team to advance to Sunday. Our bracket is the upper right portion of the bracket. Regional 2 Birmingham, South Carolina, that #1 seed, either South Carolina or Tennessee Tech, moving on to the second round on Sunday here in Columbia to face Indiana. Let's go. We're so excited for this one. Courtney Lyle alongside national championship winning head coach Carolyn Packett. Finally, we get to see one of the #1 seeds in this tournament, South Carolina, the defending champs.
And they are playing some of their best basketball. It started after that loss that everybody made a big deal of to UConn. Well, they have really locked in, specifically on the defensive end. They're rebounding, and their shot selection has been much improved.
And one of those stars that's really working for South Carolina is Chloe Kitts. She was the SEC tournament MVP, and she's an AP All-American this year.
Well, and it started in that Ole Miss game where Chloe Kitts had a triple-double. Since that game, she has had double figures in every one of those games leading to that MVP in the SEC tournament. I think it's key for South Carolina that they get that kind of contribution from their starters, because the majority of their points have come from their reserves. And then on the other side, you've got Reagan Grimes. Reagan Grimes is 14 points away from 1,000. This is a versatile player. She can score inside and outside. We'll see how she does against South Carolina's defense.
She helped Tennessee Tech to a regular season and OVC tournament title to get them back to the tournament for the 12th time. South Carolina, we showed it to you, 16-1 in the last 3 NCAA tournaments. Pretty incredible. And Chloe Kitts controls the tip for the defending national champions. They start their run to a 4th title here today.
South Carolina in that stingy one-on-one defense, but Tennessee Tech does not look to be phased.
Anna Walker with the jump shot from the short corner. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups brought to you by Capital One. You mentioned it. You see the starting 5. They're important, but this South Carolina team, their top 2 scorers come off the bench.
Yeah, you got Joyce Edwards and Malaysia Full-Wiley, but that woman right there, Tahina Pow, has got to get going from the 3-point line.
Tennessee Tech starting 5. A big get for them out of the transfer portal was number 24 in purple, Keely Carter, coming over from D2 Trevecca, where she set all kinds of Division II records.
And Walker, she can score it inside. She can also step out and hit the 3.
And Anna Walker traveled. Dawn Staley, what she has built at South Carolina, impressive. The last 3 tournaments, we've mentioned it, 16-1 record. She's won 3 national titles. They won the SEC tournament. They shared the SEC regular season title with Texas. They're first in the nation in bench points and paint points per game.
There goes Kitts. In the paint, the turnaround, fade away, so pretty.
Peyton Carter will come get this basketball for Tennessee Tech. This Golden Eagles program calls Cookeville, Tennessee home. It's in between Nashville and Knoxville. We're trying to get some early shots for Anna Walker. She's had all the looks so far. Kitts going to be fouled by Peyton Carter.
Well, and still, this is the kind of plays that she made in the SEC tournament. Going to the paint, finishing up over the defense. that paint production from the bigs. Because South Carolina, they have learned how to play without Camila Cardoso, who was a big presence inside last season.
At 6'7", they could lob it up, and she would just go get it or rebound the basketball. They've had to find different ways to win this season without that big post presence. Jump ball, possession arrow pointing Tennessee Tech. Kim Roseman in her 9th season as Tech's head coach, 2nd NCAA tournament appearance. You know, last year, not their best year. They had to regroup here to get back to the tournament for the 2nd time in the last 3 seasons.
Well, one of the things that she did is get away from switching all 5 players, more one-on-one accountability. That has made them a much better defensive team.
I feel like they have better leadership this year, too. Able to sweep the regular season and the tournament titles. Raven Johnson with the takeaway. Can't get the spin. Kitts is there. Won't finish on the 2nd chance. And this is going to stay with South Carolina. 3 good looks at the basket.
The transition defense is going to be important for Tennessee Tech. Kim Roseman said she normally doesn't send 2 back, but when you're playing South Carolina, you got to have a plan for it when they get in transition.
Kitts with the basketball. Tahina Pow now. Sanaya Fagan trying to work inside. It's definitely, she's got the height advantage on Anna Walker. Last touch by Tech.
And Fagan just told Bree Hall, hit me in my numbers. So the defense cannot get around.
We mentioned those bench points. In comes Joyce Edwards. That is South Carolina's leading scorer, a South Carolina native who chose to stay at home. She's averaging 13.2 points per game in her true freshman season.
That is what is so incredible to me is she's a freshman, and the poise with which she plays, she doesn't get sped up. She finds her positions. Look how she positioned inside there. Kid should have hit her.
Terrace Thornton driving to the basket and drawing the foul by Joyce Edwards.
Yeah, Terrace Thornton is probably one of the most athletic players for Tennessee Tech. And you got to find number 25 in purple in transition because she is constantly on the move.
Yeah, she was another key addition for this Golden Eagles program, transferred in from Eastern Illinois, another OVC opponent. So almost had a double-double against Tennessee Tech last season when she was playing against her now current team.
Well, when you see a player that plays that well, she goes in the portal, yeah, sign her up.
Come on over. Thornton drops in both free throws.
One of the things defensively Tennessee Tech has done a couple of times when the ball's trying to go into the post, the rotation has been there.
Kitts will come up top. Edwards covered up inside. Bree Hall. Joyce Edwards. Strong move for a freshman. Reagan Grimes on the other end. There's Peyton Carter. Back over to Thornton, who's going to pop the 3. Too much.
Lots of help defensively inside whenever the ball is trying to go into the post from Tennessee Tech.
There's Keely Carter playing in her very first NCAA tournament. Walker can't get around Kitts. Tahina Pow thought about it. Threads the needle on the pass to Joyce Edwards, and Edwards will have 2 free throws.
Edwards does such a nice job of making herself a target. And when she does get the ball, she reads the situation. She recognizes all the help of the defense to the right, the spin back to the left, and the finish. Yeah, that's a freshman, but she doesn't play like it.
Mylasia Fulwiley has just checked in. That's the 2nd leading scorer for South Carolina.
I don't know how you can announce Mylasia Fulwiley coming into the game so calmly, because you know we're just waiting on that wow moment to come.
Just, you know,
are you just working your way into it?
Then. Yeah. She is a walking highlight tape. It's so interesting to have their top 2 scorers coming off the bench, and Joyce Edwards and Mylasia Fulwiley.
What a luxury that is, though, for Dawn Staley to know that when you go to your reserves, you kick your offense up another level.
Fulwiley, the SEC 6th Woman of the Year. Turnover. The South Carolina team learned a lot from the loss to UConn. And Dawn said, look, they didn't like it. It motivated them.
Well, and it was interesting that she said of everybody on the team that didn't like it, Malaysia Fulwiley voices it often. That is constantly on her mind. This woman hates to lose.
Short on the floater by Fulwiley. She had Reagan Grimes who came down on her leg, but Fulwiley okay running it out.
The UCLA game, Fulwiley didn't play so well. She didn't play as well as she wanted to in that UConn game, and she has bounced back from each of those losses with full improvement.
This will stay with Tennessee Tech. When we come back, we take a look at South Carolina's championship year last year. Brought to you by Wendy's. It's amazing what Dawn Staley has done with the South Carolina program. Look at before Dawn and then since then. Incredible.
Well, and she started it out by keeping the home talent from the state of South Carolina at home. Remember Lisa Welch? Tourney Tessa. Tessa Johnson averaged 10 points a game in that Final Four run as they were going on to win a national championship. So key in adding that three-point threat to the offense.
They call it double-double against Tennessee Tech. You mentioned about how South Carolina, how Dawn Staley has built this program to get players like an Asia Wilson to stay at home. There's a statue now, if you don't know, of Asia Wilson in front of this arena.
Yeah, before Asia Wilson, there was Elena Coates that was from South Carolina. Malaysia Fulwiley is from South Carolina, as well as Joyce Edwards.
Pass stolen away by Reagan Grimes. Peyton Carter speeding the other way for the Golden Eagles. Thornton heaves it up. Tourney Tessa again.
Exactly.
I don't think that she loves that nickname.
I would wear that with pride. I would have a t-shirt made out of it, because when you step up, when it's tournament time, when it's win or go home, yeah, I would want to be a Tourney Tessa.
Fulwiley's bucket forces Tennessee Tech to take a timeout. 13-2 run, Gamecocks.
South Carolina, they can go to their reserves. First, you got Tourney Tessa finishing in the paint, and then Malaysia Fulwiley. She's come in, and she has been able to add as well.
Streaks that have come to an end in what has still been a really good season for the South Carolina program, where they win 30 games and get a #1 seed in the tournament. But during the season, you just saw 2 of those, but there were some snapped streaks this year. South Carolina, a program that had been so dominant, they lost to UCLA. That ended a 43-game winning streak. And then in the SEC during the regular season, they had been in control until Texas took them down. That stopped a game of 57 straight SEC regular season wins. The loss to UConn ended a 71-game home winning streak. But through all of that, South Carolina has only lost 3 games this season. They had more quad 1 wins than any other program. They've beaten more ranked opponents than anyone this year, and they're one of the #1 seeds in this tournament.
And I don't think it's unrealistic to understand they were going to experience some losses this year, especially with the strength of schedule. They played 19 quad 1 games this season. I think that the loss to UCLA helped Dawn to get the attention of her team to understand, listen, there's better quality. There are more talented teams that are going to be that you're going to have to face. And the Texas game, the bounce back, the key word that I keep hearing from both South Carolina and Texas is toughness. And then the loss to UConn really, really has stuck in the craw of South Carolina. It cost them the #1 overall seed in this tournament. They're the #2 seed, and I think that has been extra fuel and motivation and understanding. Listen, you got to come to play night in and night out. Dawn Staley said she didn't take anything away from what Corey Close has done with UCLA and getting the #1 seed, but she just felt with the strength of schedule that she played, it's great for women's basketball, and she is about growing the game. But if it's going to hurt you as of late, she has to rethink that.
Joyce Edwards with the finish. And I'll say I love the matchups that we're getting because these coaches like Dawn Staley are scheduling tough and scheduling some great non-conference games for us.
I love, love, love the non-conference games when these top ranked teams play each other. I think that builds the excitement for where we are right now in March.
South Carolina's already announced that they're going to play USC the next 2 seasons.
And that's what the fans want. I ran into a woman in the lobby of the hotel. She's from Florida. She has season tickets. She comes back to watch South Carolina play, but she already has her ticket for that USC game. Wow.
Joyce Edwards in the double team, still able to kick out of it to Mylasia for Wiley! Triple! South Carolina, who leads the nation in bench points per game, already has 18 points off the bench. Mylasia Wiley is a part of that.
There's just no drop-off for South Carolina when they go 10 strong.
Sanaya Fagan almost had it. It'll stay with the Golden Eagles.
And Joyce Edwards getting it done inside the post-up, the high-low feed, and the finish. But they don't force it when it comes inside. Joyce gets it inside, the double team. She knows exactly where Mylasia Wiley is going to be, and Wiley fills it up.
I mean, that's a veteran basketball IQ, is it not?
Oh, you know where your teammates are going to be. You know, and interesting talking to Dawn about Joyce Edwards said she's kind of like Aaliyah Boston. You know, Aaliyah Boston asked a ton of questions. She wanted to know everything about everything. Well, Joyce Edwards is just like that. This is a player that wants to be an attorney when she finishes playing basketball.
Yeah, wants to be an environmental lawyer. And, of course, Aaliyah Boston, a good one to watch, was a National Player of the Year and All-American at South Carolina. Won a national championship here, now playing in the WNBA. South Carolina's hit 6 of its last 7 shots. Raven Johnson, the kick to Tessa Johnson. Bounced it in.
What did Dawn tell us? What do they have to do as they make this run to repeat? They got to rebound the basketball, and they've got to take the right shot. So far, so good.
Count it for Terrace Thornton.
Terrace Thornton, the hard drive, strong finish, and an opportunity to get to the free throw line.
First foul against Bree Hall of South Carolina. And a 3-point play for the transfer from Eastern Illinois. Mariam Dowdo now working down low for South Carolina. Fagan takes the shot at the free throw line. What Dawn Staley told us, she feels like her team individually and as a team are all playing their best basketball right now. Raven Johnson swiped it, scored it. Almost did it again. Thornton loses it up to Bree Hall. And she is fouled.
What South Carolina is doing collectively is what they're doing individually. They are playing the best version of themselves. Not trying to do something that they see somebody else do, but playing to their strengths, like Bree Hall with her defense and running in transition. Raven Johnson bringing the pressure on the ball. Tessa Johnson shooting the 3. You've got Sanaya Fagan. They call her Joel Embiid because she can rebound it and she can shoot it. And look who's in the house.
Royalty, Lisa Leslie watching on.
with her daughter and her husband. It's a family affair. Lisa Leslie and Dawn Staley go way back. You know, they won gold medals together with the Olympic team, world championship teams, and then they have developed a very close bond. And Kim Roseman has talked about her team. How do you handle adversity?
And Peyton Carter driving in, and she is fouled by Sanaya Fagan. That'll be her first. Kim Roseman wanted to break this game down, break it into 5-minute segments. How do we play in this 5? Okay, let's flush it, move on to the next 5 minutes of this ball game.
She related it to algebra. When she said that, I broke out into a sweat.
You went to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, but math was not the strength. I got a communication degree.
The relation was you take an algebraic equation, and it can look overwhelming, but you break it down into parts.
Right.
That was her point.
And you have to, when all the hype that South Carolina gets, you're playing in front of a big crowd. You got to be ready to handle it.
5 seconds. Fagan fouled with 3.3. Unfortunately, Kim Roseman didn't ask us to solve an algebraic equation.
Thank goodness.
First foul against Reagan Grimes. Two shots on the way for Sanaya Fagan.
It's been key to development of Sanaya Fagan stepping into this starting role in the absence of Camila Cardoso, moving on to the WNBA.
This is the Fagan, the game that they recruited, that they saw on film before she got to South Carolina. They're seeing it show up now. Chloe Larry didn't have a chance to get a shot off. 33 points in the first quarter for South Carolina, 21 of those coming from their bench.
The strength in the reserves, that's the thing you got to worry about with South Carolina.
First in the nation in bench points per game. It's showing up in their first tournament game of the year.
Hey, nobody actually fears South Carolina. Don't worry, she can't go left. Okay, that just means she can't go right.
That's all right. We're going to see how y'all play against some real competition.
I can do that.
And these tips is trash.
She is more worried about her drink than she is
Your
over.
jumper is broken.
Our coach better than yours. Y'all, this team is average.
I seen you drop that pass. I know you hear me.
Step it out.
Tennessee Tech, their 12th NCAA appearance. They get the 16 seed after winning the OVC regular season and tournament title. Kathy Hunt, our associate director, looked up some fun facts. Back in 1989, eggs were $1. Tennessee won the national championship, and Dawn Staley was the ACC Rookie of the Year.
I wonder if she realizes how long ago that was. Like I've seen her hit some of those dance moves at practice, so she's still dancing like it was 1989. She's still got moves.
Well, her bench is too. They already have 21 bench points in this game. They have outscored Tennessee Tech.
That's a tough part about playing South Carolina, because the scouting report not only preparing for 10 to 11 players, but the different combinations when they're together that can play different ways.
South Carolina is 5 for 5 from 3 as Tahina Paopao hits for the second time, and no hesitation there taking that shot.
Yeah, Paopao's three-point shooting percentage has taken a dip from last season. Remember, she shot about 46%. This season, that's down to 36%. But it's going to be key for her as they make this run for their 4th national championship. The two-man game, the handoff from Sanaya Fagan, and then to step behind the screen and be locked in and knock it down.
5 for 5 from deep for the Gamecocks. Maddie McDaniel in the game now for South Carolina, the freshman point guard. Here's Kitts. She's using her strength to get what she wants. That is a new aspect of her game. They spent the offseason really focusing on her nutrition. She has to eat a lot of calories per day to keep up the weight, to keep the muscle that they've worked so hard with Molly Benetti, the strength coach, on adding for Kitts.
Well, not just...
Oh, stop! The assist from Malaysia to Kitts.
It's not just the nutrition, but the work in the weight room. Chloe Kitts also, she lifts on game day so she can make plays like this, finishing through contact for the Gamecocks.
Dawn Staley calls Malaysia Fulwiley a generational talent.
Goodness, put it on the highlight tape.
Oh, Malaysia Fulwiley.
Mic drop, Malaysia.
Fulwiley the steal at the horn. You bet.
I mean, you never know whether it's going to be a no-look pass for the assist, a buzzer beater, coast to coast. Malaysia Fulwiley's toolkit is pretty extensive.
You look at her contribution since she's come in the game. She's only played 6 minutes. She's got 5 points and 2 assists already.
The SEC 6th Woman of the Year and all SEC second team selection from right here in Columbia, South Carolina, and has totally bought into her role of coming off the bench and providing a spark and learning under Dawn Staley.
How close? 7 miles away from CLA is how close Malaysia Fulwiley is from. So she's getting to live out her dream, compete for a national championship, another one, with her hometown team.
Oh, misses, and look at the rebound. You see her vertical. Molly Benetti told us that she just PR'd on her vertical this week. The bucket for Terrace Thornton. She's got 9. Tonight, Fagan stuck behind the defense. And too easy for South Carolina right now. They're shooting 73% from the field.
Well, they're spreading the floor out. They're delivering on their passes and then converting to the basket.
And a Walker at the elbow.
Tennessee Tech, when they are settled and patient, they're getting good looks.
Kitts will step into the 3. Sanaya Fagan got there to crash the glass and is fouled. Let's take it back to that rebound where Malaysia just jumped all the way up to the rim.
I mean, watch the elevation. I mean, go get it. You know, the guards rebound for South Carolina. Raven Johnson does it, a great job. Malaysia Fulwiley gets in there as well. You've got to have guards rebounding when you don't have that size advantage that you had last season.
Kitts to Joyce Edwards. Hey, we talked so much about South Carolina not having Camilo Cardoso, and it wasn't about them waiting to see who was going to step up in the post. They had to find a different identity, a different way to find success.
Well, the luxury of having a Camila Cardoso is you could shoot it at any time and you knew you had her inside to rebound, or if you needed a bucket at the end of the game, you knew you had her as an advantage. Now you've got 10 different weapons you can go to at any given time to get what you need.
Fulwiley up to 7 points. Peyton Carter. Keely Carter trying to get open, but can't. So Peyton Carter hits.
I was watching Tennessee Tech play, and they would dribble into that elbow and pick up the basketball and chin it in that drop spot. And I asked Kim Roseman about that. I'm like, isn't that a bad spot? And she said, no, she wants them to get there, gives you opportunities for backdoor cuts, so you can have handoffs off that elbow.
Chloe Kitts, offensive rebound, put back.
The dominance on the glass. South Carolina 18-5.
And a 30-point lead to go with it for one of the #1 seeds in this tournament. Well, earlier today, we saw the 8-9 matchup, two teams that were so similar, Indiana and Utah. Indiana getting the win. They've cooled down. They're now watching in the stands to see who they're going to face on Sunday in the second round.
We see Chloe Moore McNeil that is sitting there. She was so key in having the one-on-one assignment against Deanna Neepkins of Utah. And then Caroline Strickland was the anchor inside. I thought that she gave Indiana terrific minutes inside.
This is Chloe Larry at the free throw line for Tennessee Tech for the 5th straight year. Every NCAA Women's Championship game on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Larry sinks both free throws. McDaniel feeding Joyce Edwards inside, back out to Bree Hall. And that's going to be an offensive foul against Bree Hall. Peyton Carter stepping up to take the charge.
That one looked like it hurt a little bit. But Carter continuing to move her feet, beating Bree Hall to the spot to draw the charge.
Chloe Larry now running things for Tennessee Tech, a freshman point guard. They put a lot on her in her first year, and Kim Roseman was so complimentary of how she's handled it.
Chloe Larry, she has said, is like a shot in the arm. She has a lot of composure and confidence as a freshman, and specifically at that point guard spot.
Terrace Thornton on the miss. Tessa Johnson calling her own number. Second chance thanks to Joyce Edwards. Keely Carter whistled for the foul. Raven Johnson returns for South Carolina. And for Tennessee Tech, we mentioned it, they swept the regular season and tournament titles, the 8th time in their history that they've done that, the first since 2000. Now, last year, a team that finished 6th in the OVC. So totally different this year, and Kim Roseman told us leadership and a bigger defensive presence have really helped the improvement this year. Some key transfers were big pieces too. Keely Carter with that shot, she was one of those transfers.
Now they had to battle with Linwood for the OVC championship. Game went to overtime, but they were able to stay composed to pull off the win.
Yeah, it ended up beating Lindenwood. They've actually beaten Lindenwood their 2 of their last 3 games, played them in the regular season finale.
Yeah, it was Reagan Grimes that hit the bucket to take the ball in regulation, take the game into overtime.
Terrace Thornton, her second foul. And in comes Reagan Grimes to replace Thornton. Well, 26 wins this year, the most since the 1990 season for Tennessee Tech. They're on a 17-game winning streak, their longest since 2001, and they tied a conference record with 18 OVC victories this season. And not just the transfers, but 2 fifth-year players, Anna Walker and Peyton Carter. Them deciding to come back to Tennessee Tech for a 5th season, that was important.
They didn't like how the season ended last year. They wanted another shot at it, and now they get themselves right here in the NCAA tournament.
That was Peyton Carter that just made the pass over to Amelia Pfeiffer. Reagan Grimes got it back in the bucket. Walker and Carter actually told Coach Kim Roseman on the bus ride home from the OVC tournament last year that they were coming back for a 5th year.
That you can't get any better news after a loss when you have 2 of your top players tell you they're coming back.
Raven Johnson. Triple. South Carolina 6 for 9 from 3.
They're taking good shots, good timely shots in rhythm. Dawn Staley has to be really pleased with the shot selection of her team so far today.
65% from the field for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Their 5th straight #1 seed. It's their 9th time overall that they've been a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Her players come in, they know nothing different now than getting to the Final Four. That's their mindset.
Can she do it again? Yes! Back to back! That's so Raven. And the response from Peyton Carter. Turnover, Carter with the steal. Up ahead to Keely Carter.
In this game for South Carolina, you don't want to make those kind of mistakes of turning the ball over, because everything that is so good, that'll be the few things that Dawn Staley will pull out in film for tomorrow.
Grimes' shot is short. 90 seconds to go in the half.
Oh, nobody back. Grimes was by herself.
Takima Walker with the rebound for South Carolina. This first half has been all Gamecocks. They scored 33 points in the first 10 minutes. They already have 27 points from their bench, shooting 64% from the field. Bree Hall with the finish.
South Carolina already has 30 points in the paint.
They average 42 a game.
It's 30 in the first half.
Tessa Johnson fouls Keely Carter. Coming up the half, Degree in the studio with Elle, Drea, and Shanae. First half highlights plus Notre Dame dominant, a 3 seed in this tournament. What do you think about that?
They hit the 100-point mark today. They're coming into this game, into this tournament, in that first game, delivering a message.
Message received. Joyce Edwards has one too. 14 points in her very first NCAA tournament game in the first half.
She looks like she's been here before.
As a fan, but not a player.
Well, on the court, she looks like she's played in this game before.
Absolutely she does. 5 of 8 from the field. Reagan Grimes able to hit at the buzzer, but South Carolina, a 33-point lead at the half. Watching this, the most bench points in a game in the NCAA tournament since 2000 was 63. South Carolina already has 29.
They're doing what they do best. 32 points in the paint. They're dominating on the glass. Pretty good first half for the Gamecocks.
Now Joyce Edwards with 14 points. 33-point lead for South Carolina. Let's get you to Elle, Drea, and Shanae in the studio.
Feels like her game's got an old soul. She comes out here in her NCAA debut, and she leads South Carolina in scoring off the bench. She's already passed her average of 13.2. She's got 14. But look at these advanced moves. I always say good players have go-to moves. Great players have counter moves. She's so smart with her footwork, getting lobs. No, I'm sorry. South Carolina, they make everything look so easy.
Yeah, they absolutely make it easy. I'm still trying to figure out why Dawn Staley told us that Joyce Edwards was a crash out. You remember at the SEC tournament, she said Joyce Edwards is such a crash out. Doesn't she just crash out and do the right thing?
Yeah.
Because to me, there has to be something that we don't see going on. But to me, Joyce Edwards, the poise that she plays with, you know what I think about when we were at South Carolina, when UConn came out and dominated South Carolina, who was the one player for the Gamecocks that we were the most impressed with? It was Joyce Edwards.
Yeah.
She was composed. She looked like the one player on the team in that moment that wasn't sped up. She never looked sped up to me.
I'm not going to let y'all get out of here, though, without talking about my favorite player on South Carolina, who is
Malaysia Fulwiley.
on a T-shirt.
Well, actually,
I already did.
Yeah, there it is.
Steph Curry with
Steph,
the
a real
Malaysia Fulwiley. And listen, I raise you a cool T-shirt. How about a diamond-encrusted trophy necklace? Plies, super fan for the Gamecocks, giving this to Dawn Staley as a gift.
So we have the privilege of being able to have Plies as our celebrity guest picker. We love you, Plies. We know you're watching. Can we get chains too? Can we get like a big 3 chain?
Right.
No, I'm saying.
And she's just a freshman. So impressive.
Let's check out today's game track brought to you by Invesco QQQ. Joyce Edwards leading all scorers with 14 points. South Carolina has had 8 different players who have scored in this basketball game, and they shot 64% in the first half.
But when you look at the depth of this South Carolina team, they have 8 players that have played at least 600 minutes. 8 average 19 to 26 minutes per game. The bench has produced at least 22 points in every game, and they've hit 50 11 times.
If you're Tennessee Tech, how do you approach this second half down so much here in the NCAA tournament?
I think that Kim Roseman sticks to her game plan of keeping it short segments, 5 minutes at a time. Don't look at the score because you just want to chip away. You want to walk out of this arena saying that you played the way you wanted to.
Bree Hall. The bounce pass from Tahina Pau, and South Carolina has hit 8 3-pointers.
I like the shot selections, the time of them, and the patience. They're in rhythm shots.
And what I'm seeing, too, I mean, you can tell South Carolina, they know each other so well. Pau's feed to Bree Hall. We just showed you Malaysia Fulwiley dropping it off to Chloe Kitts. They're in a rhythm. To the basket for Chloe Larry, the freshman.
Dawn Staley talks about all the time, expected shots get expected results. You're either going to make the basket or you're going to have your teammates in position to rebound.
Remember, the last 3 NCAA tournaments, South Carolina is 16-1, an incredible stat. Turnover. Chloe Kitts to Bree Hall, and it's tapped away by Chloe Larry. South Carolina swept the regular season, the tournament titles in the SEC for the 3rd straight season. And Dawn Staley said she felt like, especially with the expansion of the SEC, as Sanaya Fagan gets the block, with adding Texas and Oklahoma, she felt her team was so prepared for the tournament.
So I've seen all different kinds of styles. We first have to admire the block from Joel Embiid, Sanaya Fagan. The dominance that she brings in the paint. But yeah, the versatility of the SEC. You got the 3-point shooting from an Alabama, the full court press from Tennessee, the paint dominance by Texas. I mean, South Carolina has seen everything.
South Carolina shared the regular season title with Texas. It came down to a coin flip by the commissioner of the SEC to decide who had the #1 seed in the SEC tournament, and that went to South Carolina. Pau couldn't get it to Fagan.
I don't like the jump bounce pass.
Peyton Carter. And South Carolina has dominated the rebounding battle. 29 rebounds compared to just 11 for Tennessee Tech.
They're battling. I think the length of South Carolina has just been a lot for the Golden Eagles.
Much different length than they see in the OVC. No bucket. That'll be a foul against Keely Carter of Tennessee Tech. Her second. Pow calling her own number. Foul on the floor as both Kitts and Fagan were right under the basket. Well, they get the rebound.
And there were 3 players from Tennessee Tech, but just those 2 in there had commanded their space.
A jump ball, possession arrow to South Carolina. Chloe Larry tying up Pow.
Still going to go back to South Carolina. This is one of the things you've got to clean up. Is you've got to be able to inbound the game, inbound the ball, and execute your underneath out of bounds plays.
Instead, they throw it away. 5 subs checking in for South Carolina, including their top 2 scorers, Joyce Edwards and Mylasia Fulwiley. A team that leads the nation in bench points per game. Yeah, the most in a tournament game since 2063. They've got 29 points off of their bench.
When you look at the 5 reserves that come in for South,
including their top 2 scorers, Joyce Edwards and Mylasia Fulwiley. A team that leads the nation in bench points per game. Yeah, the most in a tournament game since 2063. They've got 29 points off of their bench.
When you look at the 5 reserves that come in for South Carolina, they can probably start as a group at any other program in the country.
Peyton Carter with the triple. Yeah, that's what makes it so much more impressive, is that Dawn Staley has gotten them to buy in to coming off the bench, to giving South Carolina this depth that has made them so hard to stop.
When you look at players nowadays in college, they want to get to the next level. They want to play in the WNBA. And remember Letitia Amehir? Wow, Joyce Edwards. But Amehir was a reserve at South Carolina and got drafted in the WNBA. So they know they're going to get developed. They know they're going to play tough competition to be prepared.
Dowdy kicks back out. They'll go back to Joyce Edwards.
She passing this time.
18 points for the freshman. She's shooting 70% from the field.
She's being a little too unselfish. That first pass inside to Dowdy. The second time she kept it for herself.
Tip that away, but it's going to be a foul on Maddie McDaniel of South Carolina.
The freshman Joyce Edwards has 18 points already in this first round of the NCAA tournament. She's broken in like an old house shoe, very comfortable in her mark.
Well, here in Columbia, South Carolina, there is one pup that stands above the rest. That would be Champ Staley, the Havanese that belongs to Dawn Staley. And last year at the NCAA tournament, Champ was up at the press conference with his mom, Dawn, and Dawn said Champ was not going to answer any questions unless he had a proper nameplate. Now, last year they never got that, but Kim Roseman had it covered this year. Her dogs, Dolly and Dean, made sure that Champ had the proper nameplate for any press conference he wants to go to this season.
That's the fun part about the NCAA tournament. You know, the camaraderie amongst coaches. off the court. They compete fiercely on the court, but they keep it fun.
Fuliley with the steal and the score. And if you're wondering, Coach Roseman's dogs, yes, are named after Dolly Parton and her late husband, Carl Dean.
Well, when you're from Tennessee, I love you some Dolly Parton.
Look, I don't care where you're from. Dolly Parton is royalty.
But it's even more special.
It is.
When you're from, you know that.
I do. I am from Tennessee.
Exactly.
This has been all South Carolina here in the opening round of the NCAA tournament, and it's back-to-back buckets and a big smile for Mylasia Fuliley.
So it's not only Joyce Edwards off the bench, but Mylasia Fuliley now up to 11 points, off and running in transition. The defense picked up for the Gamecocks.
We talk so much about her offensive highlights, but her teammates have given her credit for her improvement on the defensive end as well.
Well, Dawn Staley has told her it's the only way you're going to stay on the floor.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to play some defense, otherwise you're going to sit right there next to her. I coached at the Orlando Miracle when Doc Rivers was there, and he made a statement that's so true. He said, as a coach, I'm going to give you minutes. What you do with those minutes is up to you, and if you are not efficient with those minutes, then you're going to come out.
Reagan Grimes to the SEC logo. She's got 6 points.
She is 8 points away from 1,000.
Miriam Dowda misses.
And Tennessee Tech has got to not watch the clock, not look at the score, but execute their offense.
Well, Maggie McDaniel saw an open lane to the basket. Joyce Edwards helped pave the way.
The experience that McDaniels is getting, learning from Tahina Paopao, Raven Johnson, even Mylasia Fuliley, valuable experience for this young freshman. I think that's one of the reasons that Dawn Staley continually has the success that she does, because bringing in young players to learn from the experience and to carry that over.
Adele Tack will check into the basketball game now for South Carolina.
Thought Tack was going to forget to take her shooting shirt off.
Yeah, she's ready now. Yeah, a South Carolina team, too, we've seen post players rotate in. Remember, they lost Ashlyn Watkins on January 5th against Mississippi State. She tore her ACL, had surgery on January 31st, and that was a key piece of South Carolina, but their depth has helped them overcome that loss.
Well, because there's so many post players to choose from, they go against each other every day. That helps them to make each other better, so that they were able to fill in when Watkins had to go to the sideline.
Ashlyn Watkins, one of those players from South Carolina.
Another one, yeah.
Adele Tack with the bucket. And Colonial Life Arena loved that. So did Ashlyn Watkins. 13-2 run for the Gamecocks. Oh, Tessa Johnson, you can't leave her wide open because she'll do that right there. 11 points for Tourney Tessa. Timeout, Tech.
Talked about the post play, the depth of South Carolina. Adele Tack into the game, and the underneath out of bounds gets the finish. Everybody celebrating the success in the Gamecock uniform.
And Tessa Johnson just continuing her turning ways. Crosses the three. Building, scouting this one.
And you've got to stay till the end because it's not just the starters or the 6th or 7th man. South Carolina can come out and play all 11 players.
It's a turnover for Tennessee Tech. Well, Dawn Staley in the press conference, she was asked about her fits yesterday, the fashion, and we noticed a new necklace that appeared. She's been wearing the beaded necklaces from the Children's Hospital for the last couple of seasons, but that necklace in the middle was a gift yesterday from the rapper Plies, who's a big South Carolina fan. He had it made for her, and it's the championship trophy.
If you look at that up close, it is
like this.
It's the pink gold.
I think it's rose gold.
Rose gold is what I meant to say. Rose gold with the diamonds, and on the other side, it's a picture with Dawn with the trophy. It has a little small picture in it as well.
It's incredible. She showed it to us. What a gift. He's a big South Carolina women's basketball fan.
Remember when he brought the crock pot last season?
Yes.
He said Raven Johnson was cooking.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, and he's a big fan of Maddie McDaniels. He calls her M&M.
I like it.
He's trying to get her an NIL.
I'm sure he's a big fan of Joyce Edwards, too, who has 20 points in this game. The crock pot just killed me.
I was like, why? When I first saw it, I'm like, why does this man have a crock pot? Then when I saw the caption and when he tweeted about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Does that go with the clear back policy that's in effect here at Colonial
I
Life
don't
Arena?
know how he got that in.
I do. He's Plies.
Well, true. They may have thought he was coming in to prepare a meal, so it's like, that's okay.
20-5 run right now for South Carolina. And sharing the sugar. Adele Tack down low. Whoa! CLA was going to explode if that went in. The bench is absolutely thriving for South Carolina today. 22 bench points in the third quarter for the Gamecocks. They're at 51 on the game. And led by Jordan Garzon with 17 points. And they await the winner of this game.
It was a balanced attack. They had 5 players in double figures.
And led by Jordan Garzon with 17 points. South Carolina in control here in the 1-16 matchup. And it's been a total team effort, which is South Carolina's strength this year. Shooting 65% from the field, 51 points off of the bench. Their bench has outscored Tennessee Tech.
Well, and they've done it in South Carolina fashion. Not only getting help from the reserves, but their production in the paint. 50 paint points today for South Carolina.
Reagan Grimes just off the front of the iron, got her own rebound. This will stay with the Golden Eagles.
We told you at the start of the game, Reagan Grimes needed 14 points to reach 1,000. Right now, she has scored 9. She needs 5 more to reach that 1,000 mark.
Oh, Chloe Kitts with a block. And it gets too much on the pass to Fagan. Has to throw it away, going out of bounds. And a Walker for Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, as well as South Carolina has played, if I had to nitpick at anything, the connections to the post have not been as crisp, I'm sure, as Dawn Staley would have liked.
But the threes have been popping.
That is true.
10 3-pointers for South Carolina.
10 of 15.
That is 67% from the field. I did not just do that math. The computer does it for me.
Oh, come on, Lyle. But the shot selection, the patience of the shots, it's a good start for South Carolina in this tournament.
Points for the Gamecocks here today.
The way South Carolina has looked today is that they've tried to set up each other to be successful. Not a one-on-one, not an individual effort.
You just saw it with Tahina Paopao.
The ball movement, the pass, Kitts finds her in the corner. And Paopao has been on target. She's 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. And her brother, Israel, well, I don't know if he's a little chilly, but he's loving what he's seeing his sister do.
Update the 3-point count to 11 as Bree Hall hits. You know, so much was made of the UConn loss for South Carolina, but to their credit, they've used it as fuel to say, hey, it's a wake-up call. We got to take the next step. We got to move on, and they have.
Definitely responded. The focus that they bring coming into practice, it showed up come game time.
What makes them dangerous right now? What is the biggest thing, if you're an opponent scouting them, that you're concerned about?
It's not just the talent that they have, but how they're connected as a team. Because I think when you get to this point in the tournament, it's not always the best talent that wins, but the best team chemistry that you have on the floor, playing together. Not one player feels like they're carrying the load by themselves.
Yeah, depth for South Carolina, a strength. 9 players average 18 minutes a game. 11 players have scored in double figures at least once, and 6 players have led the team in scoring at least 2 times.
So when you're planning a scouting report against South Carolina, it's not we've got to take this player away or that player away. You've got to look at it as a whole. Philosophy-wise, you got to try to keep them out of the paint. That's a full-time job. But also, now you've got to respect their 3-point shot. When you look at the way they're shooting it today, 65%, come on.
Tara Thornton with the bucket there for Tech. And an offensive foul against Bree Hall. Reagan Grimes takes a charge. And South Carolina going line change once again. 5 fresh faces in the basketball game. I also love that the PA just announced South Carolina line change. It didn't say anyone's name.
There's just too many. Don't have enough time to announce all 5 players.
They've got 51 points from their bench today. They average 41.5 points per game. Now, that bench average, it would be the most by any team in the last 25 seasons if it continues throughout the tournament.
That is amazing.
3 seconds. Keely Carter finishes at the rim. Joyce Edwards is like, yep, that's my shot.
22 points today.
Her career high's 28. She had 14 in the first half. Oh, Malaysia with a block. Catch and shoot.
For a while, it is so fun to watch.
It's not just that she comes by those shots easy. She works on the tough shot. How can she use the skills that she sees? She watches a lot of basketball, and she'll take that to the practice gym and work on those skills so she can use them in game. Almost had an assist. Sakima Walker is fouled. South Carolina up big, under 5 to go. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Capital One rewarding performance. Yeah, we're going to give it to the South Carolina bench. They have scored 56 points in this game for the Gamecocks.
And Tessa Johnson was 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Joyce Edwards, 22 points. Mylasia Full-Wiley, 15 points. Oh, yeah, and a block. But she is 6 of 8 from the floor today.
South Carolina has looked like a #1 seed in this tournament. They're shooting 67% from the field. Their bench has outscored the opponent.
Like, they're only 2 points away from hitting that 100 mark.
That's some high math right there.
Vanderbilt, but shooting 67% as a team and playing that many players.
And we've talked about it. You like the shots that they've been taking today.
I do. They have taken some really good shots. If there is anything, I just think the connection. They have only 14 turnovers. It's not a lot, but a few of those passes not to the post, not quite high enough to make those connections.
Next bucket would put South Carolina over 100. Sakima Walker will give it to him. 101 points for South Carolina, the second time they've done that in the tournament.
Full-Wiley's getting in her bag.
I love how the crowd reacts to anything that Mylasia Full-Wiley does.
You know that's going to be a wow moment.
The coverage of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship continues on CBS, TNT, TBS, and True TV. For more information on game times and listings, go to ncaa.com. Joyce Edwards takes a seat with 22 points, 5 rebounds, her very first career NCAA tournament appearance. And Dowda! So everyone who has played for South Carolina has scored.
That's how dangerous they are.
And everyone has played except the one player that's hurt, Ashlyn Watkins.
Well, we're not going to see her today.
She'll be back next season for the Gamecocks.
Well, with the experience that Joyce Edwards has got this year as a freshman, the combination of she and Watkins together, woo! You know, Raven Johnson still has another year. She could come back.
Yeah, I forget that. She's been here, it feels like forever.
Yeah, you put her with Mylasia Full-Wiley, the experience that Maddie McDaniels has gotten.
Reagan Grimes had to let it go. Tech got it back. Full-Wiley to Sakima Walker.
Tennessee Tech doesn't quit, though. Thornton on the drive.
And Dawn Staley's going to use a timeout just to get a sub in to get Adele Tack in the basketball game. Mylasia Full-Wiley will take a seat, 15 points, 5 assists, a couple of rebounds. She was 6 of 8 from the field.
Dawn has 3 of her bigs on the floor at the same time with Walker, Tack, and Dowda.
Interesting. Sakima Walker fouled by Thornton. So South Carolina right now, 63 bench points. That ties the record. And now they have a new record. 64 bench points, the most in an NCAA tournament game since 2000. That's any team. It's not a South Carolina record. That's an NCAA tournament record.
Wow. I mean, that's all you can say. When you look at, it's not just Joyce Edwards and Mylasia Fulwiley. Everybody that's come into the game has been able to contribute.
Chloe Larry mishandles it. For the Tennessee Tech program, a key piece of their success this season has been the decision by Anna Walker and Peyton Carter to come back for a 5th season. They did that. They helped Tennessee Tech win the regular season and the tournament titles and get back to the NCAA tournament.
And I think they've got to be proud of what they have been able to accomplish and deliver to the program in making that decision to return. Kim Roseman talks about the dash and your experience with the program and wants them to walk away with really the players, that people that you've been able to go through this journey with. And I think that those 2 players have got to really say, I made the right decision, because it's been one heck of a season.
And then Keely Carter, who transferred in for her 5th year. Such a key piece for this Tennessee Tech team. With South Carolina a minute away from the 2nd round and taking the next step towards a 4th national championship.
Well, they've got to turn the page. They've got to get ready for an Indiana team that they had 5 players in double figures today. They're going to have to bring their defense going against the Indiana Hoosiers. I think
15
that,
seconds to go.
I think Kim Roseman has to be proud of how her team came and competed. But this South Carolina team was just too much to handle.
4 players in double figures for South Carolina. We will see them on Sunday in the 2nd round. 67% from the field today for South Carolina. And look at their record in the last 4 NCAA tournaments, 17-1.
And they got up to a good start today. I think that they played disciplined, not clock watching. They didn't get sloppy, even though the lead continued to grow, but they stuck to the game plan because they're playing like a team on a mission.
Bench points, a new NCAA record, 66 bench points in this game for South Carolina. Remember, their 2 leading scorers come off the bench for the Gamecocks, and South Carolina advancing to the 2nd round. This should be a really interesting matchup with Indiana on Sunday.
But when you talk about the depth of South Carolina, will fatigue be a factor with Indiana?
They will have a day off in between. South Carolina dominant. The defending national champions win their first game in the tournament this year. 108-48. We'll have Dawn Staley in just a few moments, but for now, let's get you back to the studio with Elle, the Big 3.
Welcome to the Green.
We'll see South Carolina in the 2nd round, joined by Dawn Staley. Now, Coach, your bench has been so important this season, but 66 bench points, that's an NCAA tournament record. What did you see from your reserves that was so good today?
I mean, what I saw was what they've been all season long. I mean, they come in, they give us a lift on both sides of the basketball. They fly around out there, and I mean, we got some good reserves. They just have accepted their role, and they thrive in it. And there's nothing more important, especially during this time of the season where, you know, depth is important.
When you talk about the reserves and what they've been doing, Joyce Edwards been doing this all season long, but for her to play this way in her first NCAA tournament, how impressed were you with that?
Very impressed, but I mean, it's Joyce. I mean, Joyce prepares, so I'm not surprised by the stats that, you know, that she gets in games, because I know she's watching film. She's looking at her opponents, her direct matchups. She's seeing where she can be effective, and Joyce does a really good job in game making adjustments. We'll tell her one thing here or there, and she's able to make the adjustment in game. That's really hard for young players, because half of them don't know what you're talking about, but because Joyce studies it, and she knows, and she hears us say, some of the same things to her, and now it's just a part of what she does. And now when we say it, if she's out of sync just a little bit, we could just say, hey, here's how you fix it, and she can adjust and fix it.
Another thing that you talked about, this is guards, the importance of guards as you make it through this tournament. And can you talk about how good Tahina Pau and Raven Johnson were for you today?
I mean, they are our leaders. They're our floor generals. They can play a lot of different styles. Raven is get up and down with speed. Pau slows it down, and you can slow drag to when Powell is running the show. And then you can break dance when Raven's running the show. So we got the best of both worlds, and Raven shooting the ball pretty good today. Powell's shooting the ball pretty good today. I hope we can pack this shot and bring it back on Sunday.
On Sunday, it'll be a rematch of last year's Sweet 16, Indiana, who came back and got in that ballgame in the second half last year. What did you see from the Hoosiers today, and what will be key for you guys on Sunday?
Key for us is just we got to rebound the basketball. We certainly got to control the pace of the game, and then their penetration, their ability to penetrate and kick is paramount. So for us, we got to disrupt. We certainly have to disrupt from a defensive standpoint. And then, we can't have 16 turnovers. We had 16 turnovers today. We can't turn the ball over. And then our bench and our depth has to be in character of what they've been all season long.
Dawn, thank you. We'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you.
Let's send it back to the studio with Drea.
If there's any question of how big a star these young ladies are, that's Steph Curry wearing Malaysia Full Wiley's face on his shirt, and then Plies blessing Dawn Staley with a diamond-encrusted trophy. You probably spotted it there in that interview, right there on the neck.
God is within her. She will not fail.
She will not fail. She said, thank you so much. Janae shamelessly asked Plies to also send us
And I'll ask again.
All right, our next team in is South Carolina, represented by head coach Dawn Staley and student athletes Adele Tuck and Joyce Edwards. Coach, if you would, please make an opening statement.
Just want to say just congratulations to Tennessee Tech for coming to the NCAA tournament, playing their hearts out. Very well coached basketball team. Unfortunately for us, our team did what they needed to do, took care of business to advance. So I'm proud of them for that.
Open it up for questions just for the student athletes at this time. If you would, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. David in the front row with the first question.
Adele, you get to come in earlier than you normally do in the third quarter, and you get 6 points. Just how good did that feel, and how much do you think you'll be able to contribute to this tournament run going forward?
Felt pretty great, honestly. I mean, I didn't want to come into the game with any expectations. I just wanted to play my game. So I went into the quarter not expecting myself to do anything. I didn't have like a set number of how many points I wanted to make or anything. I just wanted to play good basketball.
Let's go to Pete here in the front.
Joyce, your first NCAA game. Was any nerves at all anything different than you had shown us all year long?
Well, I would say I'm nervous before every game. Every game you come in, you don't really know what to expect. So once you get your first bucket or your first rebounds, the nerves settle down. But just excited to play in the NCAA tournament. This is why we come here. So just making the most of my opportunity.
Other questions for the student athletes? Pete?
For both of you, this game was, you were up by 20 points at the end of the first quarter. What can you guys take out of a game like this where you're in control the whole way? Can you take some good things going forward and into Sunday?
Joyce, take that first, please.
Just all about discipline, being focused, executing the game plan. Sometimes we get leads, sometimes we lose our focus, they come back. I thought that was our biggest thing coming in here, just staying focused and staying focused on our main goal.
Adele?
In a game like that, where we're, like you said, being up 20 points early, it's important for us to practice good habits, not for the game that we're currently in, but further down the line when the games get harder and we have tougher opponents. So, that's the thing that we have to work on the most.
Let's go way over here to the left.
Yeah, this is for Adele. You've quickly become kind of a fan favorite. So I'm kind of curious, when you're checking into the scores table, do you notice the fans kind of get wild up and excited for you to come onto the floor? Or are you just all focused in, ready for your matchup?
I do notice that. I'm really fortunate to play here at South Carolina. The atmosphere here, I believe, is unmatched, especially with the kind of fans we have and the culture we bring. So it's always great to hear fans rallying behind us whenever we're in games.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Seeing none, y'all can go.
Thank you.
Good job.
We'll take questions now for Coach Staley. Again, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. So, right with David.
Dawn, it seemed early they pretty much packed themselves into the paint, tried to deny the interior. How do you think y'all handled it? There were a lot of turnovers early, but then kind of calmed down.
Yeah, I mean, it took us a little bit to adjust to it, although we knew it coming in the game. Actually, executing is a little bit harder, so it took us a while to adjust. I think once Powell hit a couple of shots and Tessa hit a couple of threes, it loosened up just a little bit to where we're able to maneuver a little bit normal than like having so much help, so much, they compacted so much. So once we hit some shots from the outside, it felt a little normal after that.
Repeat in the middle.
Yeah, Dawn, what do you think you guys will take out of this going forward into Sunday against Indiana, a team that played you tight last year in the Sweet 16?
I mean, they hit the nail on the head when they said it's just being disciplined to playing good basketball. Because I've always said good basketball is contagious, bad basketball is contagious. And I hope we bring our ability to shoot the ball as well as we shot the ball. We shot the ball pretty good, and hopefully we can take that into the next game.
Joe?
Dawn, 22 points from the freshman Joyce. Can you talk me through, trusting her as the game went along and continuing to feed the hot hand as, that's playing in her first tournament game?
Yeah, I mean, Joyce makes she makes a lot of layups. Like, she's very, very efficient making layups. And once you see that ball go in, no matter if it's a layup or a free throw, the basket gets big. I think she got a mid-range going as well. And then her teammates really find her. She does a good job at sprinting the floor. She does a great job at making herself available and showing numbers to where she makes the guards' lives easier because her target is so big. And when she's converting and delivering, it's much easier to pass that ball into her.
Let's go back to the right.
Hey, congratulations, dunk there for USA Today Sports. Lisa Leslie being here, your former teammate, one of your best friends. What did it mean for you to be seeing her? Were you able to talk to her at all after the game? And just what is that bond like for her to be here?
Yeah, I mean, Lisa's great. Like, Lisa is, a person that's passionate about basketball. We've spent a lot of hotel nights as roommates. We absolutely love basketball. So, I mean, I'm gonna pick her brain about some of the things that we need to do to continue to help our players like Adele and Miriam and Joyce develop. She is a 4-time Olympian. I don't know how many MVPs, championships, gold medal. Anytime you can have a resource like that is always great to have, especially when we get so many bigs that come through our program.
Where are we at? Any other questions?
Is it? Oh.
Either one.
I was just wondering more about the process going into starting Malaysia today. And obviously she's come off the bench all season, but was there any particular reason for today that fit into the game plan or anything?
Yeah, she came off the bench. She did. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Once again, back to Lisa being here. Were you able to talk to her at all? And what does it mean for, obviously you just mentioned she's been able to mentor a lot of the players that have come through here.
Yeah, Yeah, I talked to her. She's staying at my house, so I saw her. I saw her early. I saw her before the game, and we'll talk a lot tonight when I get back home. And I don't think we can get her. I might want to bring her to our film session at the hotel tonight, so I might be able to bring her there and just have her around our players to ask questions about how they can maximize, this space in the NCAA tournament and beyond.
Joe.
Coach, short shifts tonight for your players. Walk me through the thought process of that. I know you want to get as many people in as you can in this first round game, good experience. But yeah, talk me through the short shifts, the hockey shift.
I thought, our starters, didn't get off to a great start. Didn't really get off to a great start in the third quarter. Just wasn't able to manufacture enough points. And I just wanted to see if our second unit could just jumpstart our offense and jumpstart our defense. And we inserted them in the game, and they made it happen. So it's nothing. Our starters are our starters, and it's nothing more than just trying to energize our team.
Let's go back to Anna in the middle there.
How is it watching Edwards and Fulwiley perform in their home state of South Carolina?
We've been great at cornering the South Carolina market. And I mean, that was one of the things when we first took over here, is to make sure that we hit every AAU coach, every high school coach, to make sure that if they have any talent coming up through the pipeline, we're here. And to have, players that are from here that represent the state is paramount that we have that. I think it makes us more valuable when we go out and try to bring more, national talent to our program. But charity begins at home, and when we're able to get the top kids from South Carolina to stay home, it's always a great thing, because they bring a great following. I mean, we've watched them since they were in the 6th grade. We watched them, come to camp and win all the awards. So it's cool to see that process get to a point where they trust us enough to want to come here and spend their college years here, getting ready for that next step in life.
Let's go to Zoom. Darian Hopkins, you have a question? Darian, go ahead. No?
Take yourselves off mute. That's what they always tell me.
You just went to mute. Can you unmute, Darian? Go ahead. Sorry, we're not getting it. Any other questions? Got one last question here.
Wearing the beads and the necklace and bracelets as usual, but you have the new chain around your neck. I saw that there's room for 2025 on there. How does the new chain feel? What's the story behind that?
I was gifted this by one of my friends, Plies. He's a great supporter of our program over the past couple of seasons, and I had no idea. But it's really nice. I mean, it's really nice. It was, the details. It's all about the details. There's a scripture on the back. There's a picture on the back. It's a national championship trophy. So I like that. And hopefully it brings us good luck to get another one.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Steve.